So, today I would like to talk about freedom and what I understand about freedom. Because, most people, first off, let's talk about what is even this feeling of being imprisoned? The opposite of freedom is when you feel imprisoned by life. It's caused by this feeling, this subtle feeling that is known by everyone. Everybody knows this feeling of something's missing. There's this feeling of emptiness. It's not really a painful feeling, but it's a feeling of I need more. I want to have more experiences and stuff like that, And then there's the ego that says it's my emptiness and I need to fill it up. And then it deceives you by telling you that there are a lot of shiny things in the world that you can get. You can get a relationship. You can get money. You can go on vacations. You can, there's so many things in the world that you can do. And the mind will tell you that when you're doing it, when you're getting it, it will fill you up. But that's an illusion. Because it is not something that needs to be filled up in the first place. It isn't a sign of lack. But when it is seen as something that you need to fill up by, trying to get some approval, validation, recognition by people, trying to heal your childhood wounds, all these things, you're trying to do it to fill this thing up. But it's not really an emptiness that you need to fill up. It doesn't mean that you're broken. But the ego interprets this feeling of being alone as something that it needs to fill up. So it's trying to get something out of this world. And then that's its purpose. And that's how that's how it creates a feeling of lack. And that's how it attracts a lot of lack. Because, when you think that you're someone that is in a state of lack, I need to fill myself up by getting all these things, pleasure and validation and a lot of material goodies and, stuff like that. Then you see yourself as something that needs to be fixed, or it's not whole yet. And then you're trying to get something from the outside, and that's your purpose. A lot of people who are getting a lot of money, or who have a lot of, there are some men who want to become these strong alpha males and have a lot of women, or want to be very impressive, also women. They want to be very impressive and beautiful to get a lot of attention. They're feeling incomplete. Then they do whatever they can to get a sense of approval and validation from the outside world. And they may be very successful, but there's still the same feeling of it's not enough. So that's imprisonment. When you don't want to stay with that feeling, you're not making friends with it, you're not accepting it. You see it as something that you need to overcome. You see it as something that you need to fix. Then you have an idea. For example, you think that when you can go on that vacation, then it will go away. So automatically, you are the prisoner of this vacation. If you think a girlfriend or a boyfriend can fill you up, you're automatically imprisoned. It's not a bad thing though. Sometimes in life you have to be like a prisoner. You have to be so emotionally attached to certain things just to learn that they are empty. You can appreciate them if it happens. You can appreciate it. But do not expect those things to fill you up. It will never work. True happiness is when you can. True freedom, true happiness comes from being free. And freedom comes from understanding that this world is empty. And you are empty. And that this emptiness is not a negative thing. There are appearances, but they won't make you complete. Because assuming that they will make you complete means that you think that you are incomplete, which is not true. But when you think that you're incomplete, therefore acting as if you're incomplete, and you need to find something that makes you complete, that makes you feel like you're actually incomplete when you're not. And then you are attracting things that are, how should I call it? How should I say this? Validating your assumption that you are incomplete. But when you can finally relax and you're not trying to control things anymore, you're allowing things to come, you're allowing things to go. If you're feeling triggered or angry, you're not identifying with this appearance. You allow it to be there as long as it wants to be there, and you're not identified with it. And then slowly you understand that there's nothing you can grab. There's nothing to hold on to. And that's happiness. That's this sense of being already complete. There's this understanding that you never had to attain something to become full. And when you understand that you're complete, you allow things to come and go, and you're able to appreciate things. Actually, you can see like a child. You can appreciate the moment and be fascinated with the moment and see the beauty in it. You don't see the moment as something you need to overcome to get to the future in the hopes that the future will give you something that makes you complete, because that's an illusion. It's in your mind. It's only here, right now. And that's what I'm trying to point to is this. Of course, first you have to recognize that you are not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, you are the awareness. And this awareness is actually the only thing that is stable. It is always the same. If there is happiness, there is awareness of happiness. If there is anger, there is awareness of anger. If there is sadness, there is awareness of sadness. So you cannot control your emotions. You can maybe seemingly to some extent control. If you're a more positive person or a negative person, you can seemingly control this to some extent, but still it isn't stable. It isn't the way you feel and think. You cannot control it. You will change. But the thing that doesn't change is the awareness of what changes. So once you realize that you are this awareness, and something happens, for example, and then you're triggered, the body is all reactive, and it wants to change, it is freaking out. You're aware of the body doing this. It's like you're becoming aware of a shadow, becoming aware of a demon, becoming aware of a program, an automatic response that is stored in the nervous system, maybe by your ancestors, I don't know, it's by epigenetics. You become aware of it, you don't identify with it. The only thing you have to do to not identify with your program is to see it. Once you can see it, you're no longer identified. If you don't see it and you're just like, that's just who I am, then you're identified and you will go through the same cycle again. You will repeat the same mistakes. But once there's this awareness that is like, okay, now I'm suddenly triggered. I don't know why, but it's there. But I'm not identifying with it. Just there's a certain curiosity. And then if you're identified with it, you're really suffering. If you're not identified with it, you are aware of the suffering. And then you're also not trying to change it, and then it loses its energy. You overcome this program. You overcome this, whatever you want to call it, demon or shadow or whatever, by not by fighting it, just by becoming aware of it. And then there's this lesson that you learn, that you have to allow things to be free. Things are free. There's no real I that has control over things anyway. There's just this flow of life in which an I can seemingly appear, but there's no real I standing apart from the flow of life having control over it. There's no I that's having a brain. There's a brain creating the sense of an I. You know? But there is awareness of what is happening, but this awareness isn't doing anything. So once you can see that you are this awareness, you're aware of what is going on in your body, in your mind, in outside. And there are some certain tendencies in your body. You want things, and you want things to be different. You'd rather be somewhere else. All these things are creating control, therefore suffering. And once you're no longer identified with your need to control your life, there may be, you don't have to change it. If there's a need to control your life, but you know you shouldn't, but you're still doing it, that's no problem, because you can be aware of it. If the body's naturally just clinging, and you know you shouldn't, allow it to cling. But be aware of it. And recognize that the awareness doesn't care. And you are this. And over time you will see that there is something that's feeling a little bit more free. You're not trying to control things. You're like, you allow the world to break your heart, because you're not your heart anyway. You know? And finally, you are recognizing that there's nothing that can fill you up. You don't need anything to fill you up. There's no power outside of you that can make you complete, that can tell you who you are. So you accept this as it is. You're making friends with this emptiness. You're no longer trying to fill it. And all of a sudden, it doesn't feel empty anymore. Then there's just this present moment. And you don't need to change anything. It's okay. No desires, really. If there are desires, you're aware of those desires. They are allowed to be here. The awareness doesn't have desires. If the body mind has desires, that's okay. And once you're friends with this emptiness, which doesn't feel like a sense of lack anymore, because you are friends with it, it's just, it is what it is. That's the natural feeling. It's not a negative thing. It is allowed to be here. That's when life actually begins, because that's when a life of abundance can happen. There's no abundance outside of you that can make you whole. You are whole. And then you are a channel through which being can give, you know. And also, you don't need to take. All you need is food, water, a place to sleep, a toilet. That's it. You know? And if there's no desire to have more than that, that's freedom. Because then you're free. All right? So it just came up. All right. So don't forget to like this video, leave a comment and subscribe. and have a great day.